Rovněž děkujeme. A já bych teďka rád mezi náma přivítal našeho zahraničního hosta. Je tady pár providerů, kteří ho zažili před měsícem v Plzni. Většina z vás ho nezná. Je to Westerman ze společnosti CERAGON a bude nám přednášet na téma rozvoj ISP v USA. Takže good afternoon, Andy. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
If you are ready.
Yes, I think so.
It's your time.
To je sranda. Hele, já jsem měl překládat Andrewovu prezentaci a vzhledem k tomu, že se mi do toho moc nechce a vzhledem k tomu, že stejně všichni umíte anglicky, tak co kdybych se na to překládání vykašlal? Tak kdo nebude rozumět, tak já si k němu sednu a budu mu to říkat. Ja? Fajn.
It's okay in English?
It's okay in English. It's only one English speaking there. I see it.
Right. Okay.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. Very happy to be here. My name is Andrew Westerman, and I'm responsible for the CERAGON channel business in Europe. And when we say channels, what that means is that we don't sell directly to the end user, we sell for a partner. And within that segment, the ISP market is a very big piece of our business in the channel market. And what we're going to talk to you today about is we're going to give you some insights into the trends in the ISP market, both in the USA and in Europe. And what we find is that a lot of the trends, particularly that start in the USA, come to Europe. And there's some very interesting things that are happening in the USA ISP market at the moment that are starting to also happen here. And I'm sure you're seeing some of the same things here in Slovakia as well.
Bit explanation. Andy je channel management a má nějakou vysokou funkci v CERAGONu, ale principiálně jeho přednáška tady není proto, aby říkal, že je CERAGON. Že CERAGON je boží, protože je hlavním partnerem téhle akce Ericsson a my k němu musíme mít nějakou úctu, ale účelem této přednášky je říct, jaký je rozvoj ISP trhu ve Spojených státech, jak to vidí CERAGON jako globální společnost, jak vidí rozvoj trhu v Evropě a je to trošku reakce na to, že spousta lidí, kteří s náma dělají regulaci v České Slovenské republice, kteří vystupují za státní správu, si myslí, že ta scéna regionálních operátorů je něco, co přejde, že v budoucnosti v těch velkých podnikách, jako je Slovak Telekom nebo O2, který jako dostanou ty veřejné peníze a nastrkají je do rozvoje NG infrastruktury. Ale ona to vůbec není pravda, protože ten náš biznis jenom předběhl dobu. Ve Spojených státech se uvolnilo 800 MHz šíře pásma pro 5, už je tam 5.0.0 až 5.8 a mají 800 MHz lokální operátory pro přístupové sítě. A teprve teď začaly narůstat, když se udělalo tohle regulační opatření, tak začaly narůstat rychlosti na přípojku ve státech. A naproti tomu třeba Verizon ve Spojených státech začal zase zavádět FUP na Fair Use Policy na XDSL-kové linky. Tak proto americký regulátor udělal takovéhle opatření a řekl, OK, uvolníme spektrum, protože ty regionální operátoři fakt se chtějí o ty zákazníky starat. OK, let's continue.
Okay, so many of you are from ISPs, and if you look across the USA and Europe, most ISPs in the beginning were built with a small amount of fiber, and then generally a mixture of license-free wireless, typically 5 gig and other bands like that. As many of these bands are now filling up, people want more and more capacity. And, the customers are becoming more demanding. So there's a trend now to move away from the unlicensed bands towards the either lightly licensed, or in the case of eband, in Slovakia and Czech Republic, it's unlicensed. So eband in many countries is either licensed or unlicensed. But I think here you're very fortunate in that there's no license fee to pay. One of the things with the unlicensed band is the performance can be unpredictable. Many customers want a predictable quality of service and throughput. Particularly in the city areas now, it's becoming quite difficult to do that with the unlicensed bands. So many ISPs, both in the US and Europe, are looking for the next step, that is. And, but that next step, it needs to be cost effective. It needs to be fast to deploy. It needs to be capable of offering very high speeds. In some countries now, they're starting, the ISPs are starting to offer hundreds of megabits to end users. In some cases, gigabit to end users now. And at those speeds, that demands a different type of technology and often a different frequency band. And to do that, wireless has to be part of the solution, particularly in terms of cost effectiveness and speed of deployment. Fiber is always going to be part of the mix, but in general, many ISPs today are building what I would call hybrid fiber wireless networks, which is a combination of fiber and wireless in the different frequency bands. And if you look at, it's effectively a toolbox of choices. And if you look at the choices, what an ISP has today in terms of building a network, you have fiber and lease lines, on the fixed side. And then in terms of wireless, it's generally a mixture of 6 to 42 gigahertz microwave, eband in the 80 gigahertz band, and then you have the unlicensed bands in 5, 10, 17, 24. So generally, most ISPs use a mixture of what's there. So if you look at the applications that, most people assume an ISP is just about giving internet access. Actually, what ISPs do and the applications are really very broad, ranging from basic internet connectivity for homes and businesses, down to CCTV backhaul, festival connectivity for Wi-Fi, disaster recovery. And you can see in the middle, this concept of gigabit to the business and gigabit to the home is something that is really starting to grow fast now. And it's really starting in the US. We're already starting to see it in the UK, and I think it will come to Europe pretty soon. So if you look at the USA in particular, this is very interesting because my experience, a lot of the trends that are happening in the telecoms world, they start in the US and then they spread. So the ISP market for CERAGON in the US is probably the biggest non-operator segment, i.e. we do the most business in this space outside of the big operators like AT&T and Verizon, let's say. And we see strong continued growth. The wireless in this market is not slowing down, it's continuing to grow and growing faster. What's changing is the frequency bands that the ISPs are using and the products. So if you look at the general trend in the United States, there are a lot of ISPs. I forget the exact number, but there are hundreds of ISPs. USA is a huge country. So you have some national ones, you have some medium-sized, but many, many small ones in the different regions. And what's happening is that the larger ISPs are starting to acquire the smaller ones because they want to grow, they want more subscribers. So that consolidation is happening. You've probably seen the news about Google Fiber recently. Google Fiber, when it started, said that we are going to do everything with fiber. There's going to be no wireless as part of that. They've now realized that covering the United States with fiber is going to take too long and it's going to cost far too much money. So Google recently acquired an ISP called WebPass, and they've now actually said that they're going to commit to a hybrid fiber wireless model, in that they're going to use wireless and fiber as their model moving forward.
Quick interrupt. Question about price of license in 11 gigahertz. Do you remember the price in the United States of 11 gig?
For the actual license fee? The licenses in the US are sold on a 10-year basis. And I don't remember the exact number, but it's very cheap for 11 gigahertz. The fee is quite low.
Something like, I heard about something like $500 a year.
Yeah, something like that. That's the order of magnitude. It's quite cheap. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, in general, in the United States, to offer these gigabit services as part of the future, there is a big transition to eband, 80 gigahertz. So a lot of the companies, the bigger ISPs, particularly the ones serving the business market, are now using eband. And I think that trend, we already start to see it happening in Europe. UK is very big now with eband. Germany is starting, Czech Republic is starting, I'm sure eband is happening here. We think it will be the big frequency band for the ISPs of the future to offer very high capacity services. If you look at Europe, again, the ISP segment for CERAGON in Europe is probably our biggest market segment outside the operators. And again, you know, we see strong growth, strong transition from the unlicensed bands to the E-band frequency band. So very similar to the US of what we're starting to see. E-band generally grows fastest in the countries where the license fee is the lowest. So the UK has many thousands of E-band links now. The license fee is £50 per link per year. Here it's even better. The license cost is zero. So I would expect E-band to grow very fast here. The trends of gigabit to the business, gigabit to the home are also happening in the UK and in Europe. And the same key points are driving that. Time to market, low cost of deployment, quality of service, and the capacities that this band can support. You'll see the key frequencies, very similar in most countries, what ISP use in the license band for licensed microwave. MIMO is quite interesting for us. We sell a lot of links with MIMO technology enabled, so the product is MIMO capable, but people aren't actually using MIMO yet in the ISP segment. I think it's something that's sat there ready for further expansion in the future to offer higher capacities. So if you look at what are the choices for ISPs in terms of the connectivity, you know, fiber we talked about, it's always going to be part of the mix. It's, you know, it's the ultimate solution, but it's equally the most costly to deploy. So generally, as I say, my experience, most of the bigger ISPs now are moving towards a model of hybrid fiber and wireless. They put fiber where they can put it, where it makes sense, and then they add wireless. That's the general trend. So if fiber's not available, these are the criteria that you have to meet. It has to be low cost, has to be quick, has to be scalable to very high rates now, like we talked about. And then we go back to the wireless toolbox, and I think this is the key slide. You know, these are the options that you have as a wireless ISP or an ISP in general. You know, it's not all about one frequency. It's about how you combine the different frequencies together. And that will be a mixture of the unlicensed band, either in line of sight or non-line of sight. You have the microwave band, 6 to 42 gigahertz. And then where we think the really big growth will come in the ISP segment is E-band, in the 70 and 80 gigahertz band. And say here in Slovakia, you have a very nice situation where the license is zero. So, you know, just some quick points about the different frequency bands. You know, all of these bands have their pros and cons. Unlicensed, generally the equipment is low cost, but the downside is that the spectrum is unlicensed. So you can come into problems with interference and low throughput. If you look at licensed microwave, again, this is a big part of the mix. It's been around for many years. The equipment is generally low cost. It can support gigabit plus capacities today. If it has a disadvantage, it's generally the license fee that you have to pay every year. Then we move into E-band, and say our view is that in the ISP segment, this will be the big band of the future. It really has pretty much everything going for it. There's lots of spectrum. It's capable of supporting multi-gigabit throughput. The equipment is quite low cost. The only weakness it does have is distance. So this is where it goes back to, if you're an ISP, you need a mix of technologies and a mix of frequency. With E-band, generally, if you want high availability, you're looking at around 4 kilometers, 5 kilometers maximum. After that, the availability starts to drop off. So in terms of just summing up, you know, CERAGON's view in the ISP market is that there's a range of options in terms of frequencies that you should be looking at to complement your fiber core. If the IP20 platform from CERAGON, it's a product that's been designed with this in mind, where we have a licensed microwave part, the IP20C, IP20S. We also have the IP20E in eband. We will introduce the IP20V in the future, which will be the V-band. And it's all under a common OSS. So as a family of products, we think it's very suitable for the ISP market and gives you a good toolbox of products to work with, as well as the toolbox of frequencies that you have to use. So in summary, we believe hybrid fiber wireless networks is the way forward. It gives you the best combination in terms of speed and cost. E-band, as the wireless part, we predict will be a huge part of that in terms of offering the capacity that you need to deploy. And in general, the CERAGON IP20 family, it's a suite of products under a common OSS where you will be able to build all the options that you need with the frequencies that you need, with the different product options that you need. And I think that's quickly our message in terms of how we see this segment, how it is developing and how it will develop in the future. So thank you. So I'm probably over time, so if anyone's got any quick questions, we're happy to answer them. No? Okay, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.